Hey, I'm Steve Diggs. Welcome back to Fast Forward Leadership. Today, I want to talk with you about growing from failure. I want to talk with you about how to use our failures to catapult us into a world of success that some of us don't even believe is possible. How to turn those failures into the strategies, the skills, and the disciplines that we need to go forward. I can tell you that in my years of working with a lot of people, some of the most successful people I've ever known have also been the people who a few short years earlier were in some of the deepest pits of failures. But like I said, they got sick and tired of being sick and tired, determined to develop those skills, those disciplines, and those strategies that they needed to go forward. Tell you what, let me illustrate it this way. Let's go back and let's remind ourselves of what failure is. Failure can be the first step to true success if we use it correctly. And this has been borne out over and over through the years. Let's take a peep at the 1950s. The 1950s, it was a pretty good time, a pretty successful time in America. I mean, we'd won the war. America had, the baby boom had begun. America liked pretty good years in America. And in 1957, 1958 especially, there was a lot of stuff going on. Those were the years when Billboard magazine started its first Hot 100 chart. The likes of Pat Boone, Elvis Presley, the McGuire sisters. A lot of people were racking up hits in those days. TV shows like Danny Thomas, The Tales of Wells Fargo were capturing our attention in the evenings. The Brooklyn Dodgers, the New York Giants had both grand slammed their way out to the West Coast. Pretty good years in America, but not for everybody, especially for the people at the Ford Company. You see, it was in 1957 that the Ford Company decided to introduce a brand new car. Now, they told us that this new car would be the innovative niche filler for an entire generation, but it didn't really work out that way. Does anybody out there happen to know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it was this car right here, the Edsel. Now, everything about the Edsel was supposed to be cool. The name was chosen from over 6,000 names that were entered in the contest. Everywhere you looked, there was big-time promotion, full-page magazine ads, TV commercials with the biggest stars promoting this car. Mr. Ford made a film where he said, "I'm proud to tell you that the Edsel is here to stay." But alas, it didn't work out that way. I mean, people argue to this day why the Edsel didn't sell. Some people say, well, the Edsel didn't sell because it was too big. Other people say, no, it didn't sell because it cost too much. Other people say it didn't sell because it didn't work. The hoods didn't close, the trunks didn't open, and that fancy transmission that they had positioned in the center of the steering wheel didn't even work half the time. Well, I don't know why the Edsel didn't sell, but I can tell you this. After 3 very difficult years at Ford, they finally shut down production on the Edsel. And you may be saying, Steve, well, what does this Edsel thing have to do with me? Well, it may have a lot to do with you, because Edsel was in a real predicament in 1960 when they did this. Edsel could do one of two things. They could sit over here in their pity puddle, feel sorry for themselves, and watch the entire company sort of tick down. Or they could do what they did do, and that was to develop those strategies, those skills, those disciplines that they needed to go forward. Fortunately, they opted for number 2. And for about 40 years, Ford was arguably the most successful maker of cars in the history of the world. My challenge to you, use your failures as stepping stones to a much brighter, much more successful future than you've ever dreamed possible. They turn their failure into success, and you can do the same thing. My name is Steve Diggs. This has been Fast Forward Leadership. Glad you were here. See you next time.